Well, a mom was arrested because her 10-year-old son walked to town a half a mile away from his house on his own in Georgia. She was booked. She was carted off to jail in front of her kids, and now the town says they will let it go if she agrees to start tracking him on an app. He was 10 at the time. He's now turned 11. He doesn't have a smartphone because this mom is actually allowing her kids to be kids and walk around the neighborhood without smartphones. And now the government wants to punish her. She refused to sign what they call a safety plan. Now she faces 1 year in jail and $1,000 fine and a reckless conduct charge. This happened on October 30th, just before Halloween. The boy was 10, but he has since turned 11. She said she had to take her oldest son to a doctor's appointment. The youngest son wasn't home, but since her mom and her parents and her siblings live close, she's like, oh, he's probably at grandma's house or one of his aunts and uncles that live just 2 minutes away. So she was not that worried about it. He instead decided to walk into town, which is less than a mile away, and it's a town of just 370 people, so it's a small town. He was stopped by a neighbor who was driving. The neighbor said, are you all right? And he says, yeah, I'm fine. That woman decided he was not fine and called the police, and a sheriff picked him up and brought him home. Now, this was not a highway. It was a residential area. Here's a picture of that town. Wasn't even 60 mile an hour. It was 25 to 35. So now the sheriff came by later that night, even though the sheriff dropped him off at grandpa's house, and came by later to that woman's house and said he was actually not fine and told her that he should not have been walking alone to town. The police department obviously decides that it was not fine. Now, here's the reporting according to Reason.com that that she gets a call from the sheriff. She says, okay, it's all right. He's home with grandpa. She's like, well, that's fine. At 6:30 that night, the sheriff came back with another officer, put her in handcuffs as the three kids watched, and took her purse and phone, put her in the cruiser, and hauled her off to jail. She said this made no sense. She had grown up in the area with plenty of unsupervised time to wander and play, was trying to raise her kids that way too, what's called free range parenting. But she posted $500 bail. The next day, a case manager from the Division of Family and Children's Services came to the home for a visit and even went to the oldest boy's school to interview the sibling. The case manager told Patterson everything seemed to be fine, but they did not comment to the reports. Now, she did say, like, oh, buddy, you need to tell mommy if you're going to town. Like, she was annoyed with the boy. The boy should have left a note or said something, right? So he did get scolded, but she didn't think this rose to the level of the mom getting arrested. The next day, the case manager said they would drop all charges if she agreed to this safety plan. Take a look at this. The safety plan will require her to delegate a safety person to be a knowing participant and guardian and watch over the children whenever she leaves home. And I mean, she's got an older son who can be the babysitter, but the state wants her to have someone else, a full-time babysitting employee. The plan would also require Patterson to download an app onto her son's phone and allow for his location to be monitored. Reason says that the day when it will be illegal not to track one's kids seems to be rapidly approaching. She says she refused to sign this plan because this would stop him from visiting his friends. Like, he can't go next door without his phone, or else the state will take her kids, or having any independence whatsoever. She hired a lawyer from Parents USA, which is a nonprofit that provides pro bono legal help to parents wrongly accused and prosecuted for child neglect. I didn't know this existed. Making a mental note of it. The lawyer from this organization is a man named David DeLugas. I'm not sure. He called this assistant district attorney, the ADA, to discuss the case, and he recorded it, which is legal in Georgia. And he was told that if the mom would just sign this safety plan, the criminal charges would be dropped. But the lawyer warns this is a great way for them to take away your kids. And then it gets even weirder because, again, they're saying if you don't sign this safety plan, the state won't prosecute. But if they do, she could face reckless conduct, a $1,000 fine, and a year in jail. He says he would like to see Georgia pass a law that, does it say here? Maybe I didn't.
Pass a law in the middle, yeah. Would like to see Georgia pass a law that permits the authorities to check up on kids and leave them leave them be as long as they aren't hurt, in distress, or in actual immediate danger.
Okay, I want to make sure that you see, though, this part where it says, later on, though, meanwhile, as if this case couldn't get weirder, the state Children's Services Department mailed the boy a birthday card signed by the case manager because he turned 11. So it's like they're saying this kid is ours now. It's super creepy. Like, not only did they take the mom away for this boy having age-appropriate freedom, but then they're sort of courting the boy's own affection. I'd be pissed about that. And so she says she's not going to sign it. So the case has gone unresolved right now. There is a GoFundMe. I'm going to show it to you in case you're interested, to cover her legal bills in case this does escalate. So we just don't know, because she does not want to sign it and put a leash on her kids that the state now have a say in, because if she just lets him go play next door, until how long does he need a supervisor? He's 11 now with 3 older siblings that presumably are aged enough to babysit. So she's reportedly ready to fight this. Now, this is just an awful story, because any parenting book that you pick up these days talks about how you need to let kids do more things for themselves. We are handicapping them emotionally by teaching them the world is unsafe and supervising their every move. In fact, this best-selling book this year alone, called The Anxious Generation, talked about how children are overprotected in the real world and underprotected online. And so we're teaching kids the world is too scary. You're not capable. You must be supervised at every turn. Not only that, it's led to a whole generation we see with skyrocketing anxiety that can't do anything for themselves. There are stories of 19-year-old kids who don't know that you need to change the oil in your car and just wait for the light to come on to know that that's how you maintain your car. They can't change a tire. They can't call to make a haircut appointment for themselves. They never look adults in the eye. This woman was doing the opposite. Also, this book suggests never giving a kid a phone until they're in the 8th grade. So this woman was doing all the things right. Let him have some freedom. Tell him he needs to check in better. Teach him that lesson. Don't give him a phone. And the state is saying, no, you have to do it the exact opposite. So if this sets a precedence, it's terrifying for parents, because all kids could be required to have a phone at all times, and they can't even play in the yard without parents.
And the government's going to be tracking them and monitoring their whereabouts,
right?
Using a government app. I mean, ridiculous. Go ahead, Phil.
Can we just get ankle monitors for all kids under age 18?
Could.
They all just have to wear an ankle monitor. Yeah.
Right. Is it the state's right to tell her she needs to track her kids on an app at all times?
No, it's
not.
And
an 11-year-old boy cannot walk half a mile away from home?
I see so many people in the chat room saying, like, I used to walk a mile to school every day. I'm like, yeah, I did too. I went to Whitfield Elementary School in Pennsylvania, Wilson High School, and I used to walk to a mile every day from my house all the way up the hill and all the way back down the hill.
It brings up a great point. What if he walks to school? He's no longer allowed to walk to school alone? Ever?
No, he has to be tracked. He has to be tracked.
I was doing that in kindergarten. Like in kindergarten, I would get up, get myself ready for school, and go and walk to school. It's like a half-mile walk. I'd like meet up with some friends along the way. Yeah, and we would walk to school.
I walked my little girl. 8 years old. She and I walked to her elementary school in the morning together. And there's this little boy we hit about halfway down where he rides his bike. He rides a little bike. And I always joke to my little girl, I'm like, man, that kid, I love that kid's independence. Like, he's just there at the stoplight where we are. He crosses.
The state of Georgia does not love that.
The state of Georgia would not allow that, I guess. It's unbelievable, like what has happened. But yeah, we were out all day. We'd go out, play. My parents wouldn't know where we were. We'd come home, No
Even
cell phones.
The kids, my daughter just finished this book called The Lemonade War. It was a really cute book for 3rd graders. And the kids are like, oh, should we walk to 7-Eleven? And no, I don't have any money. Like, these are things that are still in children's fictions, that you want to walk to the corner market. You want to go. Literally, they're taking away the ability to allow your child. And yes, that kid should have checked in with the mom. Should have left a note. That would have been a responsible thing to do. He should have been able to learn from that and do it better next time.
I mean, one of my fondest memories of growing up is going with my friends, riding our bikes or walking over to the Mr. Food in Reading, Pennsylvania, and getting a peanut butter Twix. Why did they stop making those, or where are those hidden now? But they always put the caramel ones up front. I don't understand that. Peanut butter Twix is where it's at, and then get a Jolt Cola.
Yeah.
which was, crazy. And then, we played Joust on the one arcade cabinet they had there, or Street Fighter, whatever it was. And then we'd ride our bikes back. We'd ride, we needed to get that Twix, and that was our freedom.
Yeah.
No one was tracking me with an app. Crying out loud.
Yeah. So this kid could be the new Peanut the Squirrel, right? Where it's government overreach and the government telling you, sticking its nose into useless things. So hopefully the state does not prosecute, because this has become a bit of an outrage online. But if they do, you know where to find her GoFundMe and where to tell the state where to go.
If you suffer from daily pain, I need you to listen to this message very carefully. What we know about pain relief is changing forever. As we age, aches and pains are normal, and we're all searching for effective ways to relieve pain without side effects and addiction. Let's be frank, we've all seen the horrors of the opioid crisis. You may even be affected personally. Your family might know someone that has been affected by this. That's where a pioneering medical scientist comes in, Clint Winters. You may have seen the world-renowned health expert featured in the national media. He's unveiled a natural pain reliever that has taken the world by storm. And I'm talking about Canoladine, the 100% drug-free way to get full-body pain relief without dangerous pills. As you read this right now, Canoladine has become the go-to pain reliever for over 1 million Americans, hundreds of professional athletes. It was even named as the UFC's #1 official pain reliever for the UFC. Right now, you guys can try it. Go to trycano.com/redacted, and you're going to get it for less than $1 per day. You can access the only Canoladine product in the world for less than $1 per day. Clint has provided this special link for you guys. You can guys get this special discount. Just go to trycano.com/redacted. I see a bunch of people in the chat who've already ordered this. Give it a shot. If you suffer from chronic pain, you don't want to have that addiction from drugs, try kano.com/redacted, the 100% drug-free Canoladine. Try it for less than $1 a day.